A 20-year-old Hortonville woman already charged with sexually assaulting a 13-year-old boy who fathered her child and who is pregnant again by the same boy was in court today.
Lacey Summers is charged with repeatedly sexually assaulting a child and bail jumping. This after she continued to have contact with the boy, who is now 14, at his home in New London. In court today, Summers was bound over for trial on the new charges. We learn more about the case in this Fox 11 follow-up. Lacey Summers is in trouble with the law again. The 20-year-old was charged last October with having sex with a boy who was 13 at the time and later gave birth to the teen's son. Last week, she said she was 20 weeks pregnant with his second child, and new charges were filed.
What we have to do is we have to protect the victim in this case.
Summers is now headed to trial on the new charges. She gave up her right to a preliminary hearing Monday morning. According to court documents, the boy knew Lacey Summers because she lived with his family. The boy told police he got along well with Summers and they began dating in September of 2007. According to court documents, Summers told investigators she knew she was not supposed to have contact with the boy. However, she said she loves him. According to the complaint, the boy's mother knew about the relationship, but she told investigators she did not do anything to prevent the contact. Sergeant Eugene Bennell won't say if the boy's mother will be investigated for not reporting the contact to police. He says he didn't expect Summers would be back in court facing new charges. An arraignment is scheduled for July 28th.
Because of the severity of the charges the first time, I was kind of surprised.
Summers is innocent until proven guilty. Psychologist Frank Cummings offered some perspective on what could lead someone to be a repeat offender.
It's no different than any other kind of addictive problem, whether it be with alcohol or smoking or gambling. You know, there's an old saying, if you get caught once, it could be a mistake. Twice, you got a problem.
Summers is set to go to trial on the original charge of third-degree sexual assault of a child at the end of August.
But she won't be spending time behind bars for the sexual assault conviction of a 14-year-old boy. The judge said it's because the two were in a relationship and there was no force involved. She was, however, sentenced to a 1.5 years in prison and an additional year in jail for bail jumping charges. Summers apologized for her relationship with the boy.
I know I haven't listened in the past, but now my eyes have been open and will remain open to all the consequences of my actions.
This isn't the first time Summers was convicted of sexually assaulting the boy. When the boy was 13, she became pregnant with his child. After a no-contact order, she became pregnant again. Prosecutor Melinda Templis would not comment on the sentence, but did originally ask for Summers to spend 8 to 10 years in prison.
Ultimately, the judge listens to both sides and makes the determination what he believes the most appropriate sentence is.
Summers' mother has custody of the children and asked the judge to be lenient with his sentence for their sake.
I cannot see the benefit for her to be in prison. Her boys need her. They are young.
Defense attorney John Carroll called prison time a death sentence for Summers and her children, claiming she's not a risk to reoffend. But when all was said and done,
I thought it was fair answers.
Summers says she still cares for the boy, but the judge ordered that she have no contact with him until he is 19.
Elementary school girls to dress up in their underwear to take pictures of them has now been arrested by police. This is Kimberly Crane. She lives in Shawnee. Officers found her at her house today. As a matter of fact, we have video of the arrest that just happened moments ago. We can tell you the FBI is involved in this investigation. This is her walking right out of her house. The McLeod School District put Crane on administrative leave last week. She stepped down earlier this week as an instructor. So we're going to continue to follow this story. Once again, this video just coming into our newsroom from Shawnee. Kimberly Crane arrested in this case. Once again, accused of getting small girls, elementary school aged, to dress up in their underwear and take pictures of them.
Prosecutors say they found kiddie porn on Kimberly Crane's cell phone. Some of those children could be her own students. Our cameras were rolling. You see her right there as Kimberly Crane walked out, handcuffed and wearing an orange jumpsuit. Eyewitness 5's Katie Blakey is live with details. Katie.
Well, Wendell, tonight this neighborhood here in Shawnee is relatively quiet, and quiet here at the Crane's residence. We did see one truck pull into the drive, but they left quickly.
You talk to one of those jailers in Pottawatomie County?
Kimberly Crane avoided our camera and our questions, hiding behind inmates as she left the Pottawatomie County Courthouse in shackles.
Do you want to say you're sorry? Are you sorry for what you did?
Investigators say they found deleted photos and videos of young girls on Crane's cell phone showing exposed genitals, buttocks, and private parts.
What this woman is teaching them is shocking. If I were a parent, I would be horrified.
Twist, a former McLeod teacher who sexually exploited girls in her third grade class changes her plea to guilty.
She pleaded guilty to 31 counts against her as part of a deal and will most likely spend the rest of her life in prison. News 9's Chris McKinnon is live in Shawnee with the latest. Chris?
Well, Amanda, friends and family of Kimberly Crane took to the stand asking the judge for mercy this morning, but it was after lunch that surprise change in plea came, and the judge had some harsh words for Kimberly Crane, saying that short of murder, it's hard to think of a crime that affects families as much as sex abuse on children.
Kim, are you sorry about what you did?
Kim, are you sorry for those kids? Kimberly Crane leaves the courthouse after pleading guilty to 31 charges related to her taking pornographic pictures and videos of young girls in her third grade class.
Because it was her character. She did it, and that makes it her character. The things that I have seen and the parts of the body that I have seen of Kimberly Crane and the acts that she did and the things that she talked about with about 8- and 9-year-old children like they were adults is shocking to me, and I've been doing this for 23 years.
The deal was a surprise move after a lunch break, but the victims' families were happy it happened.
A huge wave of relief kind of went over them, knowing that it'll be at least 37 years, 3 months before she can ever walk the streets again.
District Attorney Richard Smotherman says Crane has repeatedly minimized her involvement, but says the mountain of evidence against her speaks for itself.
She continuously downplayed it. She said that she was just taking candid snapshots. What she was doing, she went and bought these children underwear. She forced them to put it on, and she dressed them like sex toys. And yet she minimized that as a candid snapshot that she took. It was insulting to the very core.
Now, Kimberly Crane addressed the courtroom after she was sentenced by the judge in that deal. She said, quote, "My heart aches to know how much pain I caused you," and quote, "I'm waiting from a sincere heart for your forgiveness." Now, Kimberly Crane will be 87 years old before she's even considered for parole.
Alarming surveillance video of a 5-year-old girl who was taken from her school by a mystery woman. The little girl has just been found, but now there are big questions about how she could have been taken from her classroom in the first place. ABC's Alex Marquardt has the story.
This morning, 5-year-old Nyala Robinson is getting checked out at a Philadelphia area hospital after she was snatched from her school in West Philadelphia on Monday, seen here on this surveillance video. Police report that the 5-year-old girl says it was a stranger who took her from school, that she was blindfolded and walked a couple of blocks to a house. She says a teenage girl later took her from that house and left her at the playground where she was found. Just hours before, her mother Latifah pled with the community to find her daughter.
Please don't hurt my child. I just want my baby to come home.
Police had been on the hunt for the girl after Nyala's mother dropped her off at Bryant Elementary School at 8:45 on Monday morning. But just 5 minutes later, investigators say this woman showed up at the school wearing a Muslim headscarf and face covering. Watch as she makes her way into Nyala's classroom, where police say she told a substitute teacher she had signed her out.
There's a signature in the book. You're required anytime you go into the school. There's a list of people who can pick a child up. She did sign a name, but it's not legible, so we're not quite sure who the person is.
Remarkably, the school didn't realize something was wrong. School district officials now admit a serious break in procedure, saying in a statement, an adult is not allowed to go into any classrooms to check children out. Luckily, a passerby found Nyala Robinson outside in the cold beneath some bleachers. The police tell us there are no obvious signs of abuse, and we're told she'll be okay. And right now, the police tell us
There are no suspects.
Serious break in procedures, putting it mildly. All right, Alex, thanks so much.
What a mystery. Okay, thanks.
And the big story on Action News tonight is exclusive new information in the kidnapping and assault case that so far has resulted in one arrest, but the probe is far from over. Action News reporter Dan Quayer is live on the 6200 block of Walton Street, where the girl was allegedly held captive and brutalized. Dan, what have you learned?
Well, Jim, police also do not believe that Christina Regusters acted alone. But they also believe Regusters was obsessed with the 5-year-old. And tonight, in this exclusive report, a creepy post we found on her Facebook page paints a picture of just how deep that obsession may have run. 19-year-old Christina Regusters met the 5-year-old and her younger brother at the Heaven's Little Angels Daycare Center where she worked. Last year on December 6th, she posted an unusual picture on her Facebook page with these words: "My hand in the middle and the other two belong to two special babies that I call my son and daughter. I feel like the happiest mother in the world when I see those smiles every day I go to work." You'll notice that both of the children's hands in the photo have crooked pinkies. Tonight, in an exclusive interview, attorney Tom Klein says the children's real mother has made a chilling revelation. Both her children have crooked pinkies, and the hands in the picture appear to be theirs.
It is frightening that here we had these children's handprints on Facebook of this young woman who is now in custody.
Sources are also now providing chilling new details about the kidnapping and sexual assault. After Regusters allegedly donned Muslim attire and kidnapped the 5-year-old from her school, she placed her in a duffel bag before taking her into the Walton Street home. Once inside, the child was stripped naked, blindfolded, and placed under a bed. Regusters allegedly then told her, quote, "The man is going to come, and you better be quiet because he doesn't like it when you're not quiet." Further, sources say the woman also told her that this exotic pet, a macaw, would pluck her eyes out if she didn't do as she was told. After being brutally sexually assaulted, an unknown young teenage girl in the house, apparently in a benevolent act, took the child from the home and abandoned her in a nearby playground. Before leaving her, the teenager told the child one last thing: "You have to rescue the other kids." Tonight, Regusters' lawyer says his client is innocent, but may have mental problems.
As I understand, they may be. I'm still investigating that.
What would they be?
I don't know. I'm still investigating.
Now, sources say they are doing extensive DNA testing on other individuals because they are not satisfied that Regusters acted alone. Police Commissioner Charles Ramsey says that the investigation will continue, that the task force will stay together until they are absolutely confident that they've wrapped this thing up.
Our big story tonight at 10, a female teacher at Mary G. Montgomery is under investigation tonight.
She's accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a high school student. A sheriff's office spokesperson says it's still early in the investigation, so no charges have been filed.
Yeah, Local 15's John Zanitas joins us live from Sims. And John, really not a lot of details so far in this case.
Not really, Greg. We have independently confirmed the name of this teacher, but she hasn't been arrested. She has not been charged, so we're not going to release her name at this time. I will tell you, I talked to parents out here today, one who told me she started hearing rumors about this alleged relationship 2 months ago.
That's just something you don't do.
Disgusted, but not surprised. When did you find out about this?
Probably 2 months ago.
Barbary DeZuba first heard the rumor from another parent.
My best friend called me and told me.
Then her son, a senior, also heard the rumor.
I cannot wait till he is so out on May 16th.
Now that rumor is under investigation by the Mobile County Sheriff's Office. Do you have any comment about the teacher? A suspected sexual relationship between a female teacher and a male student. No comment whatsoever? The school's principal told us to stay off the property, but didn't have anything else to say to our camera.
Why in the world?
A Mobile County family called attorney David Green over the weekend.
I think that they were scared and they just really didn't know what to do.
Green now represents the family of the student involved in an alleged sexual relationship with one of his teachers. We first broke this news last week after his parents went to MGM school authorities.
I think that the parents have information that they actually saw. There is a sister that actually has information that she actually saw, and so I think that all of that will come out after the criminal case is played out.
Green says the family just wants answers and wants to know why a person in a position of authority allegedly took advantage of a student.
It is a tragedy. A 14-year-old young man taken advantage of by a woman 29 years old. Absolutely inappropriate. The family is devastated. They're shocked. They're stunned.
Green says he will file a civil case as well.
And we're following some new developments tonight in the story about a local high school teacher accused of having a sexual relationship with one of her students.
Yeah, it's a story we broke right after Alicia Gray surrendered at Metro Jail.
Fox 10 News reporter Andrew Perez was at the jail when Gray surrendered. Andrew, what's new here?
Well, Bob Lanise, just a few hours ago, Alicia Gray did make bail. She actually walked out of the jail with a jacket over her head. She got into a waiting car and left. Mobile Metro Jail. Is there anything that you want to say to the public? Anything at all?
Step back, please.
Did you at least plead your innocence?
Step back, please. Thank you.
A math teacher at MGM High School, Gray is accused of having an ongoing sexual relationship with a student who authorities say is only 14 years old. Fox 10 News first brought the allegations to light after Gray was placed on administrative leave last Monday. Now, a week later, Gray faces some serious charges.
2 counts of sodomy second, 1 sex abuse second, and a charge of sexual contact by a school employee with a student under the age of 19.
That's a total of 3 felonies and a misdemeanor. Authorities tell us they wouldn't have made an arrest if the evidence didn't support the charges. Deputies executed a search warrant last week at Gray's home, but what they found remains to be seen. The MGM teacher bonded out of jail earlier this evening, her attorney only saying they plan to fight these allegations.
Excuse me. Everyone in this country is innocent until they're proven guilty.
That's right. Now, according to online jail records, Gray has a court hearing 2 weeks from today.
Working for you live outside the Johnson County Detention Center tonight with details of the case against Ashley Geist.
Well, John and Susan, the 18-year-old Geist is behind bars tonight here at the Johnson County Detention Center. Now, prosecutors say because of the severity of charges against her, if convicted, she could stay behind bars for the rest of her life. A bubbly teenager who uses social media to display her love for family, God, and gourmet cooking. A May 2012 graduate of Olathe Northwest High School, Ashley Geist even tweets a picture of her recent high score of 29 on her ACT. But 18-year-old Geist now stands accused of aggravated criminal sodomy. Johnson County District Attorney Steve Howe says Geist was arrested on Monday for the crime he says was committed in Olathe on July 9th. Police say the 3-year-old victim is known to Geist, but says the two are not related. It's the victim's age that has prosecutors seeking a life sentence in this case.
The legislature over the last couple of years has really started to enact some serious penalties for victims of sex crimes of a very vulnerable age.
Just 3 years old and the alleged victim of willful and felony sodomy, prosecutors say this crime is considered an off-grid felony, meaning if convicted, Geist could get life in prison and would not be eligible for parole for 25 years. We spoke with the victim's parents tonight who say they just hope the justice system does its job. Now, Geist is still here at the Johnson County Detention Center on a $250,000 bond. Neither parents nor prosecutors would provide details of this crime.
18-year-old with molesting a 3-year-old. They've now charged a 23-year-old woman with raping a 14-year-old. Maureen Kimwell is charged with rape of a child 14 or younger.
Inside the home, but no one answered when we knocked. Kimwell's arrest follows that of 18-year-old Ashley Geist, who was charged just a day earlier with sodomizing a 3-year-old boy.
It is unusual. We have had prior instances, but it doesn't happen very often, and the vast majority of people charged with these types of serious sex crimes are males.
District Attorney Steve Howe says in both cases the victim was not a relative, but someone the suspect knew. Because of changes by the legislature involving victims 14 or younger, both suspects could face a long time behind bars if convicted.
The penalties for those types of offenses have been enhanced significantly. In these cases, both individuals stand charged with off-grid felonies, which means they're life sentences and they're not eligible for parole until serving 25 years.
Tonight, Kimwell is being held on a $50,000 bond. It appears she may be from another country because one condition of her bond, if she's able to post it, is that she'll have to surrender her passport.
I know no other words to express my regret other than I'm sorry.
An emotional Kara Dickey, a mother of 3, asked the judge to give her a chance to prove she can be the good woman she once was.
But my actions during that time do not define my character. That is not who I am.
The 30-year-old had already confessed to sleeping with one of her students twice. Police say she gave the 14-year-old rum, Tylenol, and NyQuil as part of a suicide pact. The victim's father, with tears rolling down his face and barely able to speak, told the judge the former teacher has caused his family devastating pain.
You know, Kara, you're a very selfish person, okay? You did to our child, and you understand that.
The prosecutor read a statement from his son, who is now 15. He says Dickey's actions have scarred him for life.
This lady is sick and selfish, and she really had me not even caring about anyone but her.
Your despicable actions must be punished appropriately.
Kara Dickey will now spend 4 years in prison, and she can never teach in New York State again.
Teacher who served prison time for having sex with a student is in trouble once again. Kara Dickey is on the run, and her parole officers think she has a new victim. A woman who law enforcement believes is Kara Dickey called our newsroom this morning. News 4's Brittany Smallwood walks us through the bizarre twists and turns in this case. Brittany?
And a woman claiming to be Kara Dickey says she's on the run and won't return till the record is set straight. I spoke with her this morning, and here's what she had to say. Convicted sex offender Kara Dickey is still on the run. A New York State parole officer says Dickey called an official last night and said she'd turn herself in, but only under certain circumstances. If her warrant was canceled, if officials stopped saying she was with an underage male, and if 2 specific officers come to get her. But authorities said no, she has no room to negotiate. Not long ago, parole received information that Dickey is involved with another underage boy. But a woman claiming to be Dickey called our studios this morning and said that isn't true. A New York State parole officer who heard the recording says this is Dickey on the phone.
My violation has to come with being involved in fraternizing with another felon, a grown woman. The only thing that had anything to do with the child is that we spent Christmas, a nice Christmas, with her little brother.
Dickey said she knew that spending Christmas with her girlfriend and a 6-year-old boy violated her parole.
He was in a bad situation. We wanted to have a nice Christmas for him. That was the only thing.
Dickey is on parole for having sex with a minor. In 2009, the former South Buffalo charter school teacher confessed to having a sexual relationship and suicide pact with a 14-year-old student. Authorities say she removed her ankle bracelet and disappeared sometime Wednesday. I asked Dickey on the phone when she'll return. She said things have to turn around before she'll come back.
This needs to be fixed. This needs to be fixed. It needs to be addressed. Speak directly with parole if you need to, so that they can clarify that that information is incorrect. They know that it needs to be changed before I turn myself in.
And where are you now?
Thank you.
If Dickey is caught, authorities say she'll face charges for breaking parole. She's supposed to be on parole until 2020.
Debra LaFave arrived this morning with her dad and her mom.
My mom was diagnosed with cancer for the 2nd time, and I spent my year of probation, off probation, taking care of her. And I'm so fortunate that I was able to take her to chemo treatments and spend the nights with her when she needed me the most. And I appreciate the news people that have spoke on the truth.
But today, a Hillsborough County judge ordered LaFave back on probation. She still has 4 years and 2 months to serve, monitored by a probation officer. Now a mom herself to twins, she's still required by law to stay away from schools and the 14-year-old student she pled guilty to having sex with.
It's been 8.5 years now, and this case is still not over.
Still not over because LaFave's attorney, John Fitzgibbon, says they've appealed to the highest court in the state.
The Supreme Court of Florida has accepted jurisdiction of the case. We're hopeful that we will receive a favorable ruling in the next 6 months to a year from the Supreme Court. And then that should finally conclude things one way or another in this case.
A judge reminded LaFave she must obey a curfew from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. She left court with her parents. Her mom telling us she's feeling good. How are you doing? Are you doing better?
Fantastic. Smith's victims asking for Smith to get real help for a crime against her son and another young boy.
I want what she did to my son to mean more than what she did. I will not let it define him, and this should not define her, but we should all realize that she needs help.
Her statement was part of Smith's sentencing hearing. The St. Albans woman pleaded guilty last summer to charges of sexual assault and unlawful restraint for molesting two 11-year-old boys and locking them in her home back in 2010 after jail. The defense argued she would have the best chance of not reoffending on probation. But prosecutors sharply disagreed, telling the judge Smith would have the best access to rehab services if she were on parole and furlough under the constant supervision of the Department of Corrections. In the end, the judge agreed.
The court is satisfied that parole and furlough will provide her with greater supervision.
I think the court imposed what was appropriate to get her the services but keep the community safe during the interim, if she ever can be rehabilitated.
In St. Albans, Mia Moran, News Channel 5.
The student's attorney recommended probation. Sarah Dulles joins us live from Bountiful Junior High with more.
Well, Bruce and Deanie, the judge talked about the difficulty in making his decision, saying he couldn't sleep at night knowing Linda Neff's fate was in his hands. But in the end, it was her position here at the school, a position of trust, that contributed largely to that sentence. Linda Neff was led away in tears and in handcuffs after learning her sentence for having sex with a junior high student. 3 years to life in prison.
I was hoping, of course, that she could do probation with some incarceration. I thought 6 to 12 months would be fair and appropriate.
The former teacher pleaded guilty to having a sexual relationship with a 13-year-old boy from January 2nd to February 14th of last year. Her attorney says she came forward after learning the same student was having a sexual relationship with Valyn Bowers, another teacher at the school. Today, Neff's attorney says she's accepting of her sentence.
She said whatever the court thinks is appropriate, she's willing to abide by that.
She's wanting to make things right with God and with the community.
Outside the courthouse, Neff's family expressed their love for her, saying she's extremely remorseful of what has happened.
Even though it's hard to take a 3-year incarceration, we do know that this will, in the long run, be a benefit to her, because she will feel good about it.
The judge in this case says he made his sentencing based on Neff's position in the community, a position of trust. And Neff also read an apology before the court today, accepting full responsibility for what has happened. As for Valyn Bowers, she has rejected plea deals so far and will appear in court next month for a preliminary hearing. Bruce and Deanie.
Thank you, Sarah.